I don't know. Because, like, I feel like this video is slightly different than what I usually post, but at the same time, I don't post that much to have, like, you need to stop messing with hair. Like, a typical upload, you know? But anyway, today, I want to talk about my problem with the usual FMCs for, like, fantasy books, like fantasy FMCs, right? So, I love fantasy books, right? Especially fantasy romance. You can honestly tell just from looking at my back shelf. It's my favorite genre, subgenre, whatever you want to call it. I love it. I love the morally gray, brooding heroes, anti-heroes. I love the powers, the magic, fighting, enemies to lovers, political intrigue, you know, all that good stuff, and all of it wrapped up in a little book where, you know, the two main characters are gonna end up together, and they're gonna, like, end up, like, coming together to save the world or whatever, and they're, like, true love or whatever. Sometimes it's so cheesy to talk about, but I love it. I love being able to escape from your average day into something that's, like, that's never gonna happen, but it's so fun to read about. And my favorite is when the female main character, like, they just start off the book with, like, talent and strength. And I'm not saying it's just like Mary Sue, to where they've never worked on it. It's just like, oh no, you can't kill me, and I'm actually a mermaid. But I'm also, like, a fairy princess, and I have every magic under the... Like, I'm not talking about that, but I just mean, like, when they have the intelligence to think on their own. And that sounds so bad, but, like, The Cruel Prince, Jude had, like, all these political ideas, and she was able to execute them, and I loved her for that. Or, like, in When the Moon Hatched, the girl was, like, the most sought-after assassin. And I love that type of thing, when they worked hard and they have all this talent and they have all this strength, and they're, like, a force to be reckoned with, right? They have skills that they've been honing and trading since they were little, and they can hold their own, and they can make all these ripples in their fantasy world. And especially when that fantasy world is, like, something where it's, like, it's fae, and it's, like, you cannot be weak in these type of worlds, and they hold their own. I love it. I love that. But why can't I ever find any books where they hold on to that type of strength, you know? Especially after starting their love story journey aspect, whatever you want to call it, of the book. So they used to hold all this power to make their own decision and cause impacts all on their own, or, like, pull ties to make things happen. I'm not saying, like, they're completely independent, but they were the ones, like, leading their missions and their goals, and whatever they wanted to do, they made sure they did it. But now, in most of these fantasy books I read, by the end of the story, the FMC, she just doesn't, like, do that anymore, right? All of her plans are in cooperation just with her male love interest, or the male counterpart, or whatever the love interest may be in that book. And it's not to say that you can't, like, cooperate, because obviously that's how relationships work, but it's a fantasy world, and if she wants this one goal, you know, it's easier to ask for forgiveness than permission, and I just want her to do it, but all of her goals end up being, like, feeding into his one larger goal. And, like, her actions, I'm talking, like, the stereotypical female love interest, male love interest, right? Just put that out there. Because I know there's other books where that's obviously not the case, but I'm just talking about, like, this is the most common fantasy book you're gonna find. And, like, so, by the end of the story, like I was saying, the female main character just does not do this anymore. All of her actions are a part of her love interest plans, and he's the one calling the shots, and while she still does things, they're all a part of his end goal. And she still has the capability to be dangerous, or, like, cause all this change, but she never, like, acts upon it, right? She doesn't use her talents that she's honed for all these years and her intelligence, and she never just uses it on her own. And it feels like, I mean, sure, maybe this isn't really the case, but what it feels like is like all of her on-page time is spent doing something related to the love story aspect, or like being upset that the relationship was working, or that he lied and that she can't do this. And it's like, sure, yes, be upset, every right to be upset, but do something, you know? It's so upsetting to just read about her pouting and being upset when, like, okay, you're upset, so use your power and do something to avenge whatever has been done wrong to you, you know, because the female character is very capable of doing this. But all of her on-page time, it seems like she does not do that anymore. And maybe, let's say she does stuff off the page, but if you're doing that, then that's not really a part of the book, and it's like, okay, sure, she did it, but we didn't see her do any of that. And very well, I'm probably reading too much into it, right? It's not that deep. That's what you're probably gonna say. It's not that deep. And I get that. But it just seems like kind of strange and something I want to talk about, because to me, the overanalyzer, it feels like all of these stories are implying that the way for the FMC to get the male love interest in the end is to, like, become second in command to the guy, or lose some of their strength and independence. And again, I understand, like, working together, compromising. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when it's just his plan and she's working for his plan, and not, like, their joint plan. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, why is it the female main character is always it seems like she's always the one compromising for the MMC? And all the male main character does is, like, they promise to use their love and their strength to protect them. And that's great. I am a sucker for that. Don't get me wrong. I love that type of, like, I'll burn down the world for you. Yes, it's dramatic, and I eat it up every single freaking time. I love it. I do. But being willing to do anything to protect the other, why does that almost always mean that the female main character loses her ability to, like, protect herself? Or act of her own fruition? She does not need the male main character to protect her. Sure, it's great having him doing that. I love the yearning. I love it. I love that type of just, like, oh my gosh, I love you so freaking much. I love it. I do. But she can still do stuff on her own, you know? If these characters, like, I get their characters, but she still is her own character in this world, her own person, her own fae, whatever. Right? And, like, let's say in some other books, like, they don't agree with the plans of the main male character, right? They have their own goals, and they're doing bad. Independent thought. Great. Love it. Do something about it. Like, that is always the end case. It's just like, then do something. You have the ability to do something. So act upon your goals. Even if, like, you're acting very much out of emotion and it's not the right thing to do, and it might actually be really a bad choice. Sometimes, you know, I'm like, okay, give me the drama. I will love the drama. Cause so much trouble. I don't care. Become the villain. I do not care. But, like, show me all this power and this strength that you've had. Show me that you use it, right? Like, sure, if everyone made fun of you when you were little and, like, and they bullied you and, like, you were always seen as the weakest, and now you have all this power, I don't care. Make them eat their words. I don't care. I want that drama. But I want to know that it's the female main character doing it on her own, right? And she can still get the love interest in the end. I don't want it to be where she doesn't agree with her plans, so you know what she does? She's just upset. She's upset. And that's okay. You can be upset. Again, I understand, like, emotions are a very real thing. I'm not saying that they can't have emotions. I want those emotions to empower actions. I don't like it when it's just emotions, and then let's say they're in a castle, and then they just walk around pouting in the castle, and then they cry, and then they go and cry to the guy, and he's like, I know, but you have to understand, and then all of a sudden she understands. Okay, like, I don't know how to describe it. Maybe I am overanalyzing it, like I said. But I want her to sabotage things, or, like, steal or use the magic selfishly. I want the drama, the evilness. I don't care. I just want it to be the female main character doing it on her own, because she's fully well capable. But why does it always seem like by the end of it, in order for her to get the love interest, she cannot be capable of those things anymore? I just want a story where the female main character achieves her goals on their own. And this happens in so many books, and it's not to say I don't like these books, because I very well do, but if you just think about it, like, most of the common ones, like, I'm just gonna list off a few, like, Light Lark, When the Moon Hatched, Fearless, Fourth Wing, you could probably argue ACOTAR too, or Guild. Some of these I read a while ago, yes, but most of these, the female main character has this power, she's super smart, but it's always the guy calling the shots, and, like, they do end up together, and she ends up being a force to reckon with, and I love that love story, but let them be equals. And I get they say that they're equals, but it doesn't read as them being equals. It feels like I'm just getting told that they're equals, and I'm sure be like, yeah, okay, I should disagree. And, like, oh, I don't know. And I love fantasy, right? I just want to reiterate this. I love fantasy. I love the romance, and it doesn't mean I hate all these books, right? That's not what it means. Most of the time it's opposite. Most of the time I really do love these books, but sometimes I'm just craving something different, and I want that thing to be, I want it to be popular. I don't want to have to go search in the nook and crannies for something different. I just want that to be like a norm, you know? And I heard once that it was called like a passive female main character, and I think that's actually a really good way of putting it. Just saying, like, she's not causing the action, she's reacting to the actions around her, which is okay. But I want something different. And maybe it's my fault for choosing books that have passive FMCs. But I like to say I know quite a bit of the book world, right? And it seems like passive FMCs are what mainly dominate are what mainly dominate the romantasy market. Right? I could be wrong, but that's just what I see. And the last book that I had read that, like, wasn't like this and was, like, the type of drama and action I want was The Cruel Prince. And honestly, I kind of want to reread it, but I'm so bad at rereading books because I know what happens. So I want something new that's like that, right? Ugh. It's one of those things where it's like, I could be wrong. I know it, but this is what I think, and this is what I've seen. This is what I wanted to talk about. I'm gonna take a chill pill now, and bye, I guess. I'm done talking.